I guess within the Area 51 compound, you can call that a subset of Area 51.
For decades, Area 51 has remained one of the most enigmatic locations on Earth, a site shrouded in secrecy, government denials, and an endless stream of conspiracy theories. While skeptics dismiss the speculation as fantasy, recent developments and declassified information have reignited the debate about what truly lies within its heavily guarded perimeters. However, some claim that they have risked it all to unveil the truth. Appearing on the Joe Rogan Experience, Bob Lazar revealed declassified photos of Area 51 previously hidden from us.
You get inside this thing, and it's designed for something that's much smaller than a human being.
I'd say something close to half my height.
Wow. So these little 3-foot tallish creatures.
Today, we'll unveil this and much more. Stay tuned, because this is going to be one hell of a ride. The origins of Area 51's mystery. Nestled deep within the arid expanse of the Nevada desert, Area 51 is far more than just a military base. It has become a symbol of secrecy, government cover-ups, and the unknown. Despite being an operational site since the 1950s, the US government did not officially acknowledge its existence until 2013. Strange, right?
Area 51.
Area 51.
Area 51.
Area 51.
Well, the word does not even start to describe the place. For decades, its extreme levels of classification, restricted airspace, and heavily guarded perimeter have fueled global curiosity. So, what is so unique about the place that it had to be wrapped up in secrecy? Well, let's start with unveiling the history of secrecy first. The earliest whispers of something unusual at Area 51 date back to the mid-20th century, when pilots and civilians alike began reporting strange lights and unidentified flying objects in the skies above the Nevada desert. These sightings coincided with the height of the Cold War, an era defined by rapid technological advancements and a surge in classified military projects. While official explanations attributed these aerial anomalies to experimental aircraft testing, such as the development of the high-altitude U-2 spy plane, and later the A-12 Oxcart and F-117 Nighthawk stealth fighter, the sheer frequency and odd behavior of these sightings led many to believe that something far more extraordinary was happening. Government documents declassified in the 2010s confirmed that Area 51 was primarily used as a testing ground for cutting-edge aviation technology, but they failed to satisfy those who had spent decades scrutinizing its every secret. The government's reluctance to acknowledge the site for so long only deepened suspicions. Why maintain such an extreme level of secrecy over aircraft that had long been publicly disclosed? Skeptics argue that while advanced aircraft were certainly tested at the base, the reports of high-speed, physics-defying objects seen over Groom Lake suggest technology far beyond human capability. The blend of verifiable military advancements and inexplicable anomalies has ensured that Area 51 remains one of the most perplexing and enduring mysteries of modern history. As the Cold War escalated into an intense geopolitical standoff between the United States and the Soviet Union, both superpowers raced to develop superior military technology, particularly in the realm of aviation and reconnaissance. In this climate of secrecy and espionage, Area 51 became a crucial hub for testing next-generation aircraft, from high-altitude surveillance planes to stealth bombers designed to outmaneuver Soviet defenses. However, the US government's unwavering silence on the facility's true operations only fueled rampant speculation. By the late 20th century, insights into a secret agenda began surfacing from an unexpected source: those who claimed to have worked within the base itself. Whistleblowers, former employees, and even military personnel started hinting at something far more extraordinary than advanced aircraft development. Among the most infamous figures was Bob Lazar, who in 1989 publicly claimed to have worked on reverse engineering alien spacecraft at a highly restricted site near Area 51, known as S4. According to Lazar, the government had recovered several extraterrestrial craft and was studying their propulsion systems. The secrecy surrounding Area 51 also gave rise to stories of vast underground laboratories, hidden bunkers, and high-tech research facilities buried beneath the desert floor. Many believed that while the base's surface-level operations focused on aircraft development, its true purpose lay hidden in subterranean chambers where scientists worked to unlock the secrets of alien engineering. The government's stance and public reactions. For decades, the US government maintained an unwavering stance of denial and dismissal regarding Area 51 and its alleged connection to UFOs. Military and intelligence agencies consistently downplayed any rumors of extraterrestrial involvement, branding them as baseless conspiracy theories fueled by paranoia and science fiction. Official statements insisted that the facility's true purpose was nothing more than the development and testing of advanced aircraft. These projects were so classified that extreme secrecy was necessary for national security. Yet, rather than putting public concerns to rest, this approach only intensified curiosity. Every refusal to acknowledge Area 51's existence, every redacted document, and every evasive response from government officials added to the belief that something extraordinary was being concealed in the Nevada desert. Even when declassified documents were finally released, they did little to quell speculation. In 2013, after decades of official silence, the CIA publicly acknowledged Area 51's existence for the first time, citing it as a testing ground for Cold War-era reconnaissance aircraft, such as the U-2 spy plane. However, rather than closing the book on decades of conspiracy theories, the revelation only raised new questions. Why had the government denied the base's existence for so long? What other programs remained hidden behind its heavily restricted perimeter? The newly released files provided no mention of extraterrestrial technology, alien bodies, or secret underground laboratories. The government's tight-lipped approach also backfired spectacularly in 2019, when a viral Facebook event titled "Storm Area 51, They Can't Stop All of Us" transformed into an unexpected global movement. Initially intended as a joke, the event suggested that if enough people rushed the base at once, they could overwhelm security and uncover whatever secrets were being kept hidden. The meme-driven campaign quickly spiraled out of control, drawing millions of online participants and forcing the US military to issue a stern warning. Officials made it clear that any unauthorized attempt to breach the facility's perimeter would be met with force, including the potential use of lethal measures. While the event itself ultimately resulted in only a few arrests and a music festival-style gathering in nearby Rachel, Nevada, the government's swift and aggressive response only fueled further speculation. Why would such extreme measures be necessary if Area 51 was simply a testing ground for old aircraft? This is where one man brought a much-needed perspective to the situation: the whistleblower who changed everything. In 1989, a man named Bob Lazar came forward with explosive claims that would forever alter the way people viewed Area 51. Unlike previous whistleblowers, whose stories were often vague or unsubstantiated, Lazar presented himself as a former government scientist with first-hand experience working on extraterrestrial technology. According to him, his work had not taken place at Area 51 itself, but rather at a highly classified facility known as S4, located near Papoose Lake, just south of the infamous base. Lazar alleged that S4 was home to several recovered alien spacecraft, and he had been part of a select team tasked with reverse engineering their propulsion systems. His revelations were not just sensational, they were detailed, technical, and disturbingly plausible. Lazar's claims diverged from typical UFO folklore by focusing heavily on the mechanics of how these otherworldly aircraft supposedly operated. He described an advanced propulsion system unlike anything known to modern science, one that functioned using a mysterious element he called Element 115. According to Lazar, this substance enabled the spacecraft to generate an anti-gravity field, allowing them to move without traditional aerodynamic limitations. He explained that instead of conventional propulsion, where force is expelled in one direction to create movement in another, These craft manipulated gravity itself, bending space-time to travel vast distances instantaneously. Lazar even provided diagrams and descriptions of the internal layout of one such craft, claiming that the seats were built for beings much smaller than humans, further supporting the idea that these were not of earthly origin. One of the most compelling aspects of Lazar's testimony was his assertion that the government had successfully produced small quantities of element 115, which he believed was the key to unlocking interstellar travel. At the time of his revelations, element 115 was unknown to mainstream science. However, in 2003, more than a decade after Lazar's claims, Russian scientists synthesized a new super-heavy element, moscovium, which matched the atomic number he had described. Though this artificially created version was highly unstable and decayed almost instantly, believers saw it as possible evidence that Lazar had been telling the truth. If a stable isotope of element 115 existed, as he suggested, it could theoretically provide the exotic energy source required for the craft's gravity-based propulsion. Lazar's background, however, was a point of intense controversy. Shortly after he came forward with his extraordinary claims in 1989, records of his academic background at MIT and Caltech seemingly vanished. Lazar has consistently maintained that he earned advanced degrees in physics and electronics from these prestigious institutions, yet there is no official documentation of his enrollment or graduation. When journalists and skeptics attempted to verify his claims, they found no university transcripts, class rosters, or faculty members who could confirm his presence. His employment at Los Alamos National Laboratory presents a similar contradiction. Official records do not list him as a former employee, yet an old Los Alamos phone directory contains his name, and a 1982 article in the Los Alamos Monitor refers to him as a physicist working at the lab. Furthermore, Lazar has described the facility's inner workings in remarkable detail, including areas supposedly restricted to high-clearance personnel. Supporters argue that these inconsistencies are evidence of a coordinated government effort to erase his past, ensuring that no official ties between him and classified projects remain. Other whistleblowers who have exposed government secrets, especially regarding intelligence or defense projects, have experienced similar discrediting tactics, including erased records and public smear campaigns. Critics, however, see things differently. They argue that Lazar's story is riddled with inconsistencies, from his fluctuating academic credentials to his shifting descriptions of the S4 facility where he claims to have worked. They point out that if his records had truly been erased, there should still be classmates, professors, or colleagues willing to vouch for him, yet no verifiable witnesses have ever come forward. Additionally, they question how Lazar, if he lacked formal scientific credentials, could have been placed in a top-secret government program dealing with reverse engineering alien spacecraft. Lazar himself claims to have been threatened, followed, and harassed since going public with his story. Regardless of whether he is telling the truth or spinning an elaborate tale, his story remains at the heart of modern UFO conspiracy theories. In any case, what made Lazar's account particularly compelling was his ability to describe highly specific scientific concepts, such as gravitational wave amplification, years before they became mainstream topics in physics. Despite the skepticism, his story gained traction, especially after his interview with investigative journalist George Knapp on KLAS TV in Las Vegas. Decades later, his appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience reignited interest in his story. The controversy surrounding element 115 didn't end with its official discovery in 2003. Lazar had claimed that the government not only possessed stable samples of the element, but also actively used them in secret research programs. He suggested that the UFOs at S4 used small triangular reactors, where element 115 underwent a process that produced an anti-gravity effect. According to him, this propulsion system worked by amplifying gravitational waves and distorting space-time. While mainstream physics has yet to confirm such possibilities, Lazar's descriptions eerily paralleled later discussions in theoretical physics about gravity manipulation and exotic energy sources. So, was Lazar genuinely revealing a secret known only to the government, or was his mention of element 115 a remarkable coincidence? Skeptics argue that even a broken clock is right twice a day. He could have simply guessed an undiscovered element might exist in the heavy end of the periodic table, especially since scientific models had already suggested that elements beyond uranium could theoretically be synthesized. However, supporters counter that Lazar's knowledge went beyond simple speculation. He described not just the element itself, but its supposed function in a propulsion system that defied conventional physics. Regardless of whether Lazar was telling the truth or weaving an elaborate fabrication, the scientific discovery of moscovium introduced a new layer of intrigue. If Lazar was right about the existence of the element, could he have been right about its potential? And if a stable isotope of element 115 does exist somewhere in the universe, could it truly be the key to interstellar travel? These questions remain unanswered, ensuring that Lazar's revelations continue to spark curiosity, skepticism, and debate. But that's not all. Claims like these are gaining not only traction, but for the first time ever, government recognition and attention. A changing attitude towards UFO sightings. In recent years, newly released images and military footage have reignited the debate surrounding UFOs and the possibility of advanced non-human technology. These images, some declassified by the US government and others leaked by insiders, depict unidentified craft displaying flight characteristics beyond the capabilities of known human aviation. Unlike conventional aircraft, these objects appear to hover motionlessly, accelerate instantaneously, and execute sharp-angle maneuvers at speeds that defy the laws of physics. The most famous of these videos, such as the Tic Tac, Gimbal, and Go Fast recordings, captured by US Navy pilots, show unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAP, moving against the wind, demonstrating advanced propulsion systems with no visible means of thrust. These objects remain unidentified to this day, but the unusual part is that the Pentagon has formally acknowledged the authenticity of these images and videos. Beyond the footage, multiple eyewitness accounts from military personnel, pilots, and intelligence officials add another layer of mystery. Some describe close encounters with small humanoid beings, often linked to the strange craft seen near military installations. These testimonies, while controversial, share striking similarities across different decades and geographical locations. Reports from Area 51 and its surrounding regions, including Nevada's infamous extraterrestrial highway, have long described sightings of small, grey-skinned entities with large eyes, commonly referred to as greys in UFO folklore. Some former government contractors have even claimed that classified research facilities house non-human biological entities and technology retrieved from crash sites. Comparing these modern revelations with historical UFO sightings only deepens the intrigue. Reports of mysterious aerial objects date back centuries, with ancient texts, Renaissance-era paintings, and even World War II pilots' accounts of Foo Fighters, which were glowing orbs that followed aircraft, suggesting that humanity has long observed inexplicable phenomena in the skies. The infamous Roswell incident of 1947 remains one of the most debated cases, with theories ranging from a simple weather balloon crash to the recovery of an alien spacecraft. Similar incidents, such as the Rendlesham Forest incident in the UK and the Phoenix Lights over Arizona, involve credible witnesses, including military officials and thousands of civilians, all describing craft with advanced, non-conventional capabilities. With the recent push for greater transparency on UFOs, the parallels between historical sightings and newly released military footage raise unsettling questions. Have these objects always been watching us? Are they remnants of a lost human civilization, experimental technology, or something entirely extraterrestrial? while skeptics argue that misidentifications, optical illusions, and classified military projects could explain some of these sightings. The sheer volume of consistent reports spanning decades suggests that the mystery of these unidentified aircraft is far from solved. But maybe we're just letting our imaginations run wild. Could it be so? Is there a rational explanation? While Area 51 is often linked to extraterrestrial technology and government cover-ups, many researchers argue that the secrecy surrounding the base has a more conventional explanation. The US government has long used classified sites to develop and test cutting-edge aviation projects, and Area 51's remote location makes it an ideal testing ground for highly sensitive aircraft. Some historians believe that many of the UFO sightings reported around the base, particularly those dating back to the 1950s and 60s, were actually experimental spy planes, such as the U-2 and A-12 Oxcart. These aircraft, designed to fly at extreme altitudes and with unconventional designs, may have appeared otherworldly to those unfamiliar with their existence. The secrecy surrounding these projects naturally led to speculation, as civilians and even military personnel witnessed craft moving in ways that defied known aviation capabilities. Another theory suggests that the US government intentionally allowed UFO myths to flourish as a form of psychological operation. By permitting rumors of alien spacecraft and reverse engineering experiments to persist, intelligence agencies may have been able to distract foreign adversaries and even the American public from the true nature of the base's work. If potential Soviet spies or rival nations focused on the idea that the US was hiding extraterrestrial technology, they might overlook the actual breakthroughs in stealth aircraft, radar evasion, and propulsion systems being developed in the desert. Additionally, some experts argue that the spread of UFO stories could have served as a convenient cover for classified operations. This way, any civilian reports of strange aerial activity could have been, and were dismissed as mere science fiction, rather than potential breaches of national security. Beyond military deception, there is also the possibility that misinformation and disinformation campaigns played a role in shaping the public perception of Area 51. Over the decades, numerous figures have contributed to the mystery, often with conflicting or unverifiable accounts. Some researchers suspect that at least some of these stories were deliberately planted to obscure real technological advancements. The existence of disinformation efforts is well documented in Cold War history, with intelligence agencies frequently using false narratives to manipulate enemy intelligence gathering efforts. It is plausible that at least some of the UFO lore surrounding Area 51 was the product of carefully crafted deception. But that's not how Bob Lazar looks at things. Recent developments in the Area 51 and UFO lore. Despite decades of scrutiny, Bob Lazar has remained unwavering in his claims about working at a hidden facility near Area 51, known as S4. He has not retracted his statements, maintaining that the US government possesses advanced alien technology and is actively studying it. His more recent appearances, particularly in the 2021 documentary Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers, have reignited public interest in his story, offering a more detailed exploration of his experiences and the alleged government efforts to suppress the truth. Directed by filmmaker Jeremy Corbell, the documentary presents Lazar's testimony alongside new evidence and expert analysis. Lazar expands on his initial claims, describing the extreme secrecy surrounding S4 and the threats he says he received after coming forward. He asserts that he was part of a highly compartmentalized research team, where information was strictly controlled to prevent any one scientist from fully understanding the broader picture. According to Lazar, researchers were only given access to the specific component they were working on, ensuring that no single individual had complete knowledge of the craft's technology or origins. This compartmentalization, he argues, was designed to prevent leaks and maintain absolute secrecy over the project's true purpose. Regardless of how one looks at his assertions, he is not alone in making them. In 2023, David Grush sent shockwaves through the intelligence community and the public with his explosive testimony before the US Congress, making unprecedented claims about the US government's involvement with unidentified aerial phenomena. As a former intelligence officer with the Pentagon's UAP task force, Grush brought a level of credibility that few previous whistleblowers possessed. His 14-year career in the US Air Force and intelligence agencies granted him direct access to classified information, setting him apart from figures like Bob Lazar, who lacked verifiable credentials within official UAP research programs. Grush's testimony was a detailed account of what he claimed to have uncovered during his work in classified government operations. He claimed that the US government has successfully recovered advanced UFO technology and, more disturbingly, non-human biological remains from crash sites. He stated that these findings were part of highly classified programs operating outside the purview of elected officials and even top military leaders. According to Grush, these secret initiatives function with near total autonomy, hidden within black-budget projects designed to obscure their existence from oversight committees. His claims suggested that not only does the US government possess alien technology, but it has been actively studying it for decades to reverse engineer its capabilities. What makes Grush's testimony particularly significant is his standing within the intelligence community. Unlike previous whistleblowers, who often faced immediate skepticism due to their lack of verifiable ties to military intelligence, Grush was widely regarded as a highly trusted insider. His position within the UAP task force provided him with direct access to classified reports, making his claims impossible to dismiss outright. He emphasized that he had interviewed numerous officials with first-hand knowledge of these secret programs, many of whom allegedly feared retaliation for speaking out. Similarly, Dr. Stephen Greer, a longtime advocate for UFO disclosure, has dedicated decades to exposing what he believes is a massive government cover-up regarding extraterrestrial encounters. A former emergency room physician turned researcher, Greer has spent years compiling first-hand testimonies from military and intelligence officials who claim to have been directly involved in classified UFO-related projects. Through initiatives like the Disclosure Project, he has worked to bring forward high-ranking whistleblowers willing to testify about their experiences with unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs, hidden crash retrieval programs, and the existence of non-human biological entities. His persistence culminated in a highly publicized 2023 press conference, which featured some of the most striking revelations yet concerning secret US government UFO programs. During the mid-2023 disclosure event, Greer introduced multiple former military officials who not only confirmed the existence of covert UFO research programs, but also claimed to have personally participated in retrieving crashed UFOs. Some described deeply compartmentalized research structures, where scientists and engineers worked in isolated teams with little understanding of the larger picture. Sounds familiar, right? Well, that's because this is exactly what Bob Lazar claimed about the nature of his work at the secretive S4 facility near Area 51. In addition to Lazar's descriptions of spacecraft reverse engineering, Greer's sources also spoke of encounters with biological entities. This press conference took place amid an unprecedented shift in the mainstream conversation about UFOs, following David Grush's bombshell congressional testimony and the Pentagon's declassification of military footage depicting craft moving in ways that defy known physics. As a result, Greer's claims suddenly found themselves mirrored in official government hearings and mainstream media reports. One naturally has to assume that the whole UFO conversation needs to be revisited. Mainstream acceptance of the UFO phenomena. For decades, the US government dismissed UFOs as hoaxes or misidentifications, relegating the subject to the fringes of conspiracy theory. However, in recent years, official narratives have shifted, bringing UFOs and UAPs into mainstream discussions. One of the earliest cracks in the wall of secrecy came with the now famous USS Nimitz Tic Tac encounter in 2004, where US Navy pilots observed a white, oblong object performing aerodynamically impossible maneuvers. Though initially classified, footage of this incident, along with other UAP encounters, was leaked in 2017, forcing the Pentagon to address the issue publicly. That same year, the New York Times exposed the existence of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or AATIP, a secret Pentagon initiative dedicated to studying UAPs. Former AATIP Director Luis Elizondo confirmed that these encounters were being taken seriously within intelligence circles, and that some exhibited technology beyond known human capabilities. From there, momentum only grew. In 2020, the Pentagon officially declassified multiple UAP videos, acknowledging that they were indeed filmed by military pilots and remained unexplained. In 2021, the momentum toward mainstream acceptance of UFOs accelerated when the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released an unclassified report on UAPs. The report analyzed 144 UAP incidents observed by military personnel between 2004 and 2021, with 143 of them remaining unexplained. This was the first time the US government officially admitted that UAPs posed a legitimate national security concern. Later that year, in November 2021, the Department of Defense established the Airborne Object Identification and Management Synchronization Group, which was tasked with detecting, identifying, and mitigating potential threats posed by UAPs. By July 2022, Congress took further steps by passing the National Defense Authorization Act, or NDAA, for fiscal year 2023, which included historic provisions on UAP transparency. The law mandated the creation of the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, expanding the government's UAP investigations beyond airborne objects to include those in space and underwater. This move was partially prompted by increasing reports from US Navy pilots who described seeing UAPs regularly during training exercises off the US East Coast. Adding to the intrigue, NASA also entered the discussion. In September 2023, the agency released a report on UAPs and announced the appointment of its first-ever director of UAP research. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson stated that UAPs warranted serious scientific investigation. Unlike past government responses, which leaned towards secrecy, NASA's involvement signaled a growing push to study these phenomena with scientific rigor. The shift in tone, from dismissing UFOs as conspiracy theories to recognizing them as a serious issue, suggests a broader paradigm shift. Whether this is a step toward full disclosure or a controlled attempt to manage public perception remains unclear. What is evident, however, is that UFOs are now part of official government discourse. But why now? If these revelations have been known internally for years, why is the government acknowledging UAPs in the 2020s rather than, say, the 1980s or 90s? One reason is the loss of information control. In previous decades, official institutions could discredit whistleblowers with relative ease, dismissing them as hoaxers or mentally unstable. However, the rise of social media and independent journalism has made this approach increasingly ineffective. Leaked videos, declassified documents, and corroborating testimonies from multiple sources have made outright denial less viable. Furthermore, the geopolitical landscape has changed, with rising concerns about adversarial nations like China and Russia potentially having access to advanced propulsion technologies. The US military now sees disclosure as a national security imperative rather than a fringe conspiracy. This shift also forces a reconsideration of earlier figures like Bob Lazar. What was once dismissed as science fiction is now being debated in Congress, reported on by major news outlets, and investigated at the highest levels of government. While government agencies have admitted to investigating UFOs and even confirmed some retrieval programs, the level of transparency remains highly controlled. The recent declassification of military UAP footage, coupled with congressional inquiries, suggests that the walls of secrecy may be beginning to crack. However, the long history of misinformation, compartmentalized research, and intelligence operations raises the possibility that true disclosure may never come in full. Ultimately, all we can say for now is that the debate surrounding UFOs, advanced technology, and extraterrestrial encounters is far from over. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Did you like this video? If you did, please consider liking, dropping a comment, and hitting the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on our new uploads. Also, don't miss this video you see on your screen right now. It's truly unbelievable.